No chemicals or preservatives, just 100% honest to goodness hickory smoked meat.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Boy, some chicken wings have really hit the spot.
You ain't got no better food like some chicken wings, some baby back ribs, some fries or something?
That's just two guys talking, am I right? We're just talking.
Hey, howdy, hey. Welcome to the #1 barbecue podcast in the northern Utah area. Still undisputed champion. Undisputed heavyweight champion.
That's right.
And, glad you could be here with us. Happy summer. School's out, John. Living the freaking dream.
Yeah, my kids are home 24/7.
That's so fun.
No, it's actually been fun. It's been interesting to watch the transformation of the neighborhood from kids only out at night to just 24/7.
Yeah.
Like nonstop. Kids are always out. I went fishing the other morning. We talked about that. Had to be up early to go out, and I'd been up early the last couple of days, so I was wiped. So I was like, I'm just gonna take a little afternoon nap. Mm-hmm. Joys of unemployment.
Nice.
So, in the 45 minutes I was trying to take a nap, like 4 different people knocked on the door, and I was like, what is going on here? Every time the dogs went crazy. But yeah, it's fun. There's like an energy out on the street.
Yeah.
So
I like it. It's good for the kids. It drives me crazy when I'm home. Like yesterday, Whitney had a meeting, and the same thing. Like, it was me and the kids, and usually if it's just me, I'm like, no friends. Like, I don't want to watch anybody else's kids. And it was just constant, like, for each kid, multiple people, which is good. So it's a fun time, but I'm glad that I'm starting to landscape, so I'm never home.
it just it makes me appreciate my wife more.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know how she does it.
Seriously, Whitney's so nice to everybody, and I'm such an old grouch whenever anybody comes to the door. So,
yeah, I went fishing with our neighbor behind us, who you know who he is.
Oh yeah.
And the night before, I was like getting my stuff ready, and I've got this buoy hat that Haley hates it. She just hates. She hates this big floppy hat I put on. And she's like, "Yep, it's official. You are an old man going fishing with your buddy now. Like, just you old men have fun.
You have transitioned."
So
that's what I'm talking about.
I am absolutely the grumpy old man in the neighborhood, I think.
True that.
So you don't have to agree with me quite so fast.
Well, I'm right there with you, dude. And everybody, all the kids are, they love Whitney, and they're always like, and then as soon as they see me, they're like, oh my gosh. All right, see you later, Anyway.
That's funny.
Yeah. We went camping.
We did go camping. Mike and I took our families camping, which was a lot of fun, actually.
It was, I'll be honest, I was nervous about it, but it was actually pretty awesome. Kids did great.
Yeah, we dumped all the kids in a tent. Mm-hmm. Grown-ups slept in the trailer.
Yep.
Which, with one minor issue, was awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Which I was impressed that the kids did as well as they did. I thought for sure it would be like all night, like just a rotating door.
Right, just in and out. But
Mom,
no, they did good.
Mom.
It was cold, too. Like, it was a little chilly, and they did really well.
I know.
So.
Haley was freezing. Like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm cold. There's an extra blanket at the foot of the bed. I can't get it. I'll be too cold. So.
Oh. Good times.
It is good to know that I'm still needed.
Yeah, there you go.
I am not obsolete. I can get blankets in the middle of the night.
Heck yeah, man. Usually it's for crappy jobs, but our wives like to let us know that they need us sometimes.
Every once
Even
in
though
a while.
realistically they probably don't. They could probably do much better without us, but they're good to us.
That they are. But yeah, we had some fun. We were connoisseurs of the finest dining while we were there.
Oh, yeah, man.
roasting weenies over the fire.
The kids loved it. It was awesome. You would think that we would do something elaborate and like fancy because we are the fat guys with smokers. However, we roasted hot dogs over an open fire.
And it was great.
It was so good.
And I think that's one of the things that like we forget a lot of the time is simple's okay.
Yeah.
And simple's a lot of fun.
We don't need to spend hours prepping for a meal that the kids, I mean, are just going to have a blast cooking their own hot dogs. And yeah.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about, we did have to make a run back to the house.
We did.
Because I did spend hours prepping.
Yes. How was that? Tell us about that.
I cooked 61 pounds of Packer briskets.
Snap.
Had 4 briskets that I was cooking for an event that weekend. That it's a group called Little Lambs, which it's super cool. This started out with some of our neighbors. They were trying to, provide care packages for kids that were being placed into foster situations because when DCFS shows up, like kids can't take anything. They don't take blankets. They don't take toys. They just go.
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah,
it makes sense. They're trying to get them out of a bad situation. Usually
get them out, but it also turns into like a property thing of like, who does it belong to, and like all of that. Like,
gosh dang it,
it's just such a terrible situation. They were trying to find a way to help make it a little better. Mm-hmm. This was, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, that they started this nonprofit trying to provide comfort kits. Mm-hmm. And from there, and it was just supposed to be like Cache County, maybe if they had the ability, they'd go into Weber County. Mm-hmm. Last time I was talking to Ted, he's one of the founders and chair. I think they go from like Boise to Nephi.
Oh, good heavens.
Like it's all of southern Idaho and Utah, basically.
And they just deliver these care kits,
They
right?
do care kits. They do diaper drives. So families that can't afford diapers for newborns. And they like bring in semi-loads of diapers and just give them out.
Oh, man.
So cool. And then the newest thing that I think they started last year are at-risk parents and teen pregnancies, helping them, finish high school and get their GEDs.
Oh, wow.
So
that's sick.
They do a ton of good. So he asked me if I would cook. He got the meat donated. So it was really cool, but it was a bit of a logistical nightmare because we were camping.
Yep.
Which we're like 15 minutes from the house. It wasn't a big deal.
It was awesome, actually. Whitney came home in the middle of the night and slept at home, so cheater.
Well,
it was Hallie's fault.
I was going to say, Hallie's knees hurt.
It's true. It was fake.
I think that was my favorite quote of the whole night. Your knee hurts? Yeah, right here. That's your ankle.
That's your ankle. Oh, shoot. Anyway, we had to run home.
We had to run home, get them started, and then but we had to be back before 10, before the park locked us out.
We made it with like literally 5 minutes.
5 minutes to spare. There may or may not have been a MAV run in the middle of all of that.
Indeed, there was. No regrets.
None. Not one.
Nope.
But I started them earlier, which meant they would have gone... I would have needed to wrap them earlier than I normally do. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to figure out how to wrap them without having... But I didn't want to have to get up at, 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go wrap them and then come back in. And
right.
So I just let them ride. We went at...
no wrapping.
I didn't wrap them at all.
Oh, okay.
I went at 200 degrees with the super smoke turned on the Traeger. Mm-hmm. And they were anywhere between 15 and 17 hours between the four of them. Some of them went a little longer than others did. Yeah. But they were great. Like, so easy, so low stress.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we took a picture. Did you post that picture?
I didn't. I've got the picture.
Because I was there when we put them on, and I tell you what, you've got, what do you have, an Ironwood XL?
No. I wish I had an iron. Actually, I don't know that I really want the new Traeger.
Yeah.
I've got an Ironwood 885.
That's what it is.
It's the first generation of the Ironwoods.
Pretty good size smoker. And I mean, that thing had brisket.
Yeah,
everywhere.
885 square inches of cooking space.
It was awesome.
And there were maybe 25 square inches left. It was packed.
And also, how did the meter perform?
I was going to say, I guess we need to talk about this. I've been talking about meter for a while, and I've had just the meter plus, the single probe. For Father's Day, Haley pulled the trigger for me and got me the meter block.
Yeah.
Which they were on sale for $199. Mike was there. He waffled back and forth.
I did.
When he went to pull the trigger, they were up $50.
Yeah, I was pissed.
But then they dropped again.
Yeah, mine got here today. So,
Yes.
yeah. You have converted me. I'm pretty excited.
But it was super cool. So I had a meter in each of the briskets, plugged them in, and each brisket I was able to watch individually.
See, I think that's so cool. The ambient temperature around the brisket and that brisket specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I don't know if we've talked about that before, but it's one of the things that gets brought up on the forums all the time is, the ambient temperature comes off of the very end of the probe, which is right next to a big chunk of meat.
Yeah.
And the ambient temperature for the grill is normally off to one side or the other, typically away from most things,
Right.
and often in one of the hottest parts of the grill.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, well, why is this so low? And it's like, because it's got a giant freaking heat sink right next to it. Like, it's not going to be perfect. But I was impressed.
But honestly, probably that's more accurate to what your meat is seeing than what your grill's putting out.
Yeah. So you've got to kind of learn to balance those couple of things. But, man, it was great being able to just sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
I love that it's Wi-Fi connected, so I don't have to do my hokey, let's use an iPad as a, network bridge and bounce it up. But
I'm excited.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you need to pull yours out and get it charging.
Yeah, it is charging currently. So I'm going to have to do something this weekend maybe and see if we can break out the offset maybe and do something cool.
I was going to say, I've got a pork shoulder I was going to cook tomorrow, but
nice.
I'll let you take the pork shoulder if you want it.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm excited.
So,
would you use a meter for ribs?
I
don't
had
really ever check them. I just go by what they feel like and stuff.
Yeah, so who is it? I think it's BBQ is her name on Instagram and her company name and stuff. She talks all the time about temping ribs and cooking them to 203, 205, and that's when you know that they're done.
Interesting.
Ribs are the one piece of meat. I just think it's really hard to get an accurate reading with an instant thermometer in that thin of a piece of meat.
Right, yeah.
So I have always looked at the bones to see how far the meat is pulled back off them. And then I use a toothpick on the back. And if you could use your instant read, but just looking for that buttery
tenderness.
Yeah. So I've never temped ribs, and the meter probe is big enough. I don't know that you could.
Yeah, I don't think it would work.
But everything else, I used it on a turkey. I did a chuck roast on Sunday. Made a shredded beef barbecue sandwiches. Out of this world.
That sounds good. Did you do it on the drum?
I didn't. I was going to, but it was kind of rainy.
Yeah,
and
it was a weird day.
I was in a suit. I didn't want.
Yeah, makes everybody jealous. They're always looking at.
It was
you
Fast
like,
Sunday, so most people had chosen not to eat that day.
Yeah.
That just seemed incredibly dirty. But so I just ran it on the Traeger, but smoked it till it got. I was going to go to 165, but my timing didn't work out. I was going to be gone when it got to 165. So it was like 140, 145 that I put it in a crock pot with a can of Dr. Pepper and some barbecue sauce.
Okay.
And then put a lid on it, basically braised it up to 200.
Oh.
Took the lid off of it for the last hour, shredded it, and then served it on croissants. Croissant.
I love
Man, Costco croissants. I love those things.
I've heard that. They're
they
really
are
good.
stupid good. So, did those with French's fried onions, but of course a Great Value brand, whatever
Obviously.
they're called.
Interesting.
And
Just kind of sprinkled over the top of each sandwich?
Yeah.
Or you don't like mix them in or anything?
Yeah,
right?
no, just put them on as a topping on the sandwich. And then my dad and I put jalapeno slices on it.
Oh, dang.
And it was fan-freaking-tastic.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That'd
They-
probably feed a lot of people, too.
Oh, yeah. I did it. So I had a Costco pack, and I do this every time I do a shredded beef sandwich or something. I always get so worried because, like, as a roast, like, we would have freaking pounded those 2 pieces of chuck roast. It was like 5.5 pounds. Like, I know we would have finished that as a family.
Yeah.
So I cooked both of them, thinking like, oh man, like I hope this is enough meat, and we had tons left over.
Because you're shredding it, putting it on a bun,
Yeah.
goes a little further. That makes sense.
I could have been a better friend and brought you some, but I
Yeah, what the
didn't.
heck? Yeah, that's cool. Every time you go to bring me something, I'm not there. So
Yeah, that's the other piece. I didn't want to deal with that heartache.
that's fair.
But I think it's from Bridesmaids. But have you seen the meme of Melissa McCarthy? That she's in the bathroom.
Yes. That is
It's coming
the
out of
funniest
me like
scene
lava.
I have ever seen in my life. Every time I watch it, I'm like doubled over. Like, oh my god!
I've never seen the movie.
It's not probably a very good movie, but that scene is so funny.
Anyway, so we've got this like this running joke in the house. When I was growing up, part of the time we lived in El Paso. That's where I was born. Then we also lived in San Diego. So and my dad worked in a factory across the border. He ran maquilas.
Across the border, like in Mexico?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Right on.
he got a start right out of college at GM in Juarez. And then when we were in San Diego, he worked for 2 different companies, but one of them was Intermatic, that they make like pagoda lighting and stuff for gardens. But it was like, it's this running joke that like when people go to Mexico, they always are like, oh, take me to eat the spicy food. Take me to eat the spicy food. I want the spiciest food you can get me. It's like, all right, man. And afterwards, the joke, we always made this joke like that we would take him to go get ice cream. And they'd be like, well, what's the ice cream for? I don't understand it. It's like, oh, you will in about 3 hours, and you get in the bathroom, and it's so nice it bites you twice. And
That's
you know,
awesome.
hear people screaming from the bathroom, come on, ice cream, come on, ice cream. Man, I was in pain later that night.
Because of the jalapenos?
Yeah,
Or because
man,
of the
like
beef?
the jalapenos weren't even that spicy, but the last sandwich I had, it was just so good I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
And I had a little half sandwich, and I probably put like 10 or 12 jalapenos.
Oh man, are they fresh or do you get them out of the jar?
No, like these were jarred pickle ones,
Yeah.
so like they're
I
not
like
even
those
that
ones.
hot.
Right.
But man, I pounded the jalapenos. And Haley's like out in the bedroom yelling, but we had ice cream. And all I could say was, not enough. Not enough.
Wow.
Anyways, so TMI, if anyone's still listening, be careful of jalapenos. But that is definitely a meal that's going back, like going onto the rotation.
I love that idea. I think my kids would get down on that, like some barbecued beef.
Well, and then, I mean, we had a ton of leftovers even after we gorged ourselves. My parents kept some. We brought some home. Haley and I had sandwiches. the next day that were delicious. Like, it was awesome leftovers. But we were talking about all the other things you could do with it. Like, back to leftovers being the best thing.
Obviously.
Like, you can have more. You have more sandwiches. You can put it on salads. Baked potatoes, I think, would be unreal.
With a little of that in there. Oh, shoot. That sounds great.
So,
yeah.
I definitely think that's gonna be a regular rotation.
Oh, right on.
So,
I'm
and
probably
super
gonna copy
easy.
that. That sounds great.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Let me see if I can find it really quick, because it was not one that I came up with on my own. Haley, of all people.
Yeah.
It's funny, ever since she started sending us
the funny memes,
the funny reels, her page is just covered in
delicious recipes.
In barbecue.
So is it on the recipe to smoke it first, or did you just add that?
No, this is burnt_pellet_BBQ on Instagram.
Nice.
And he's got a website, but that's the recipe that I more
did
or
you
less
chop it up
follow.
like that?
I did.
Nice. So it's chopped up into, like, I don't know, 3-inch cubes or something?
Yeah, just like took the chuck roast, cut it into like kind of 6 pieces, which we're going all over the place. We're going down a rabbit hole that I wasn't expecting to. But I had this chuck roast out in the fridge in the garage, and somebody, no one has fessed up yet. I have my suspicions. We'll do an investigation later.
Nice.
Turn the fridge to the coldest setting.
Oh.
So when I pulled what I thought was going to be a thawed chuck roast out of the fridge, half of it was frozen.
Oh, wow.
Not like a little frozen with ice crystals, like frozen all the way through. Solid.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. But I was like, well, crap. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to cook it anyways. And it actually worked fine.
Yeah.
I really expected it to take a lot longer to come up to temp. And it was like that piece, it took a little bit longer, but it was only like maybe 30 or 45 minutes.
Really?
And it was up to the same temp as the other side of the roast that was thawed.
So I wonder if, especially on a cook like that, where you're bringing the whole piece up to like 200 and just cooking it kind of at that temperature, if it's not a huge deal to put it in frozen, you know? If I'm taking it to like 165 or something, then it's a problem because it's going to take forever for the interior to get there, and the exterior is going to go way over. But if you're bringing it up to a high temp where you can shred it, it probably doesn't matter quite as much.
Yeah, I was just going to, because I put a meter in each side just to kind of be like, let's see what happens. So I had a piece that was basically totally frozen and another piece that was thawed. And you can see here, this was the thawed piece. Okay. But like pretty typical expectation of what the curve of the graph would look like. It's has a pretty steep start. The first hour it goes from about 35 degrees to right around 100, and then over the next 2 hours crawled its way up to 145 where I pulled it. This other piece was, you can see it was frozen, but it was still almost to 100 degrees at an hour. And then from there, like the graph looks the exact same. It looks
the same. That's interesting.
So, really interesting. Maybe I'll try and make a graphic out of this and throw it on Instagram so people could see it. But it really surprised me, and it made me think like, maybe you can cook more from frozen. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the two things that attract that smoky flavor more than anything are cold and wet.
Right.
So
a frozen one.
Starting frozen seems like the best way to... And
again, I think that works fine if you're taking the whole thing up to a really high temperature like that. Yeah. At a low, at a low cook. Wouldn't work for hot and fast.
Yeah, no. But, hot and, going low and slow.
Interesting.
Which, and that was, I think I ran 225. So.
Yeah.
Not as low as I ever have cooked, but
Interesting.
definitely not very hot.
Right on.
So, alrighty. Well, now that we've gone down that rabbit hole, let's jump back out. And Mike, you went shopping.
Dude. I can't remember if I've talked about this on here.
No, I
or
don't think
not.
so. And by you going shopping, you lovingly supported your wife in preparation for her new opportunity.
True that.
You tagged along
I did.
to go with her.
Yeah. So Whitney's going to start teaching this next year as a kindergarten teacher. So she's trying to kind of build her classroom library, as it were. And there's this big, what would you call them? Like a discount bookstore. They're like the #1 retailer of used books on Amazon. So I don't even know what you'd call them. Big warehouse, I guess.
Well, so they used to have a store on Main Street.
Yeah.
And it was like the oldest, grubbiest bookstore you could ever possibly imagine, with the crotchetiest, angriest people ever. I remember one day I like found a book that I'd been looking for. It wasn't in great condition. It wasn't like in a case or anything. I found it on the shelf. And they wanted like some absurd price. They wanted like $35 or $40 for this used paperback book. I was like, okay, well, that's more than I can afford. I'm not interested in it. The guy's like, well, aren't you going to put it back on the shelf? And I was like,
Sure.
okay. But yeah, now they're just in a warehouse.
Yeah, they are. And like, I think they still have a storefront. I've not been in there. Whit says it's a little bit nicer, but this warehouse sale that they had, I mean, if you've ever seen like the watermelon bins at the grocery store, just a huge box, and it's just chock full of books.
Yeah,
and they kind of have them sorted, but everybody's just shuffling through them. Like, there's no way to keep it sorted.
It's like the DVD, the $5 DVD bin at Walmart.
Exactly like that. And the way that they were doing it, the day that we went, at least Whitney had gone like 2 days before. She's kind of obsessed, but the day we were going, they just give you a bag, and you fill that bag as full as you want, and it's like $15 or something. And I think Whitney got like 1 billion, like, just picture books and stuff. But I was kind of digging through just to see, because they've got all kinds of interesting stuff. I think they just clear out like the DIs and all the donated bookstores that they can't sell and just put them in there. But I found these 2 barbecue books from early on in America's history. And by that, I mean the 70s and 80s. So this one that I have is 1977. John, I think yours is 84, if I remember right. It's in Roman numerals, so I had to look it up.
1980.
1980. So I guess we're pretty much the same. So mine is a Better Homes and Gardens all-time favorite barbecue recipes. Yours, I think, is Ideals or something.
Yep. Ideals, Grills, and Barbecue Cooking.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, really interesting stuff. Like, for example, we were talking about this before. A lot of like the grilling and stuff, it is just time. Like, there's no cook it to this temperature. And maybe there wasn't a huge availability of meat thermometers, but I think there should be.
Yeah.
But everything is just time. Like, cook to this time.
Grilling table, beef cuts, and they have different thicknesses, which I think is actually pretty sophisticated. But
I like it.
For an 1.5 inch thick cut, it says rare is 10 to 15 minutes, medium is 14 to 18 minutes, and well done is 18 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like figure out what the like ideal temperature is for those times.
Well, that's the other thing.
Because
the way that they find the temperature, because I think charcoal was huge. I mean, they talk, as you're reading through it, you can see like gas grills, I think, were just starting to hit the market. And it was like, oh, that's kind of neat. But I think a lot of charcoal was going on. But it just says to find temperature, you just hold your hand over the coals, palm down about 4 inches above, and then you count how long you can hold your hand there before it gets too hot.
Yeah. If you can't do more than 3 Mississippi, it's hot.
Yes, exactly. Like 2 seconds, hot. 3 seconds, medium hot. 4 seconds, medium. And then 5 or 6 seconds, slow coals is what mine says. I just thought that was kind of cool because I think that's just how it was. Like when you barbecued, that's what you used. And the number one grill that they talk about is a brazier grill. Have you ever heard that term?
A brazier?
Yeah, like maybe mine doesn't have it. Maybe it was yours that I was looking in, but it talks about types of cookers. But yeah, I don't even know if I'm saying it right because I've asked a bunch of people and they don't even know what it's called, or they've never heard of it. But it seems to me like a shallower charcoal grill, kind of like a Weber kettle. Like this is a picture of it right here, just kind of a shallow bed of charcoals, which I've seen. I've just never heard it called that.
Yeah,
but both of these books just kind of.
It's even.
Oh, there it is right there.
It's more shallow than a Weber grill is.
Yeah, I think so. Brazier.
No.
Lightweight, inexpensive, and easy to use. That was the most popular grill on the market in '77. So, anyway,
I do love that one of the things they talk about in here is my favorite, like, pro tip is tinfoil, man.
Yeah.
Put the tinfoil down. It makes cleanup way easier.
yes, both of these I think have a way to make a drip pan.
Yeah, they were all about the aluminum foil. Mm-hmm. To include, this is what I loved about my book. It has an entire section. Let's see. What
Packet meals.
Yeah, I think it's called packet meals. Yeah, there's a whole section of this cookbook dedicated to packet meals, aka tinfoil dinners.
Tin dins. That's pretty awesome. Shows you how to fold it. Shows you how to. Yep. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Anyway, I thought it'd be cool if we could go over some of the recipes. We're getting a little lower on time, so maybe each of us just take one. Do you think?
Yeah. Oh, but now what to pick?
I know. I had a bunch that I was thinking, and now I don't want to waste it.
Well, you take two. You've had more time looking at this than I
have.
want you to think about. And while you're trying to decide, I'll maybe just call out one of the things that I think is so cool about the recipes here. They're super basic.
Yes.
It is not a, like, go get this and get this and get this. It is, here's the leg of lamb recipe. 1 leg of lamb, about 8 pounds, salt, pepper, 2 cloves of garlic cut into slivers. That's all the ingredients there are. Like, and they're all, like, grilled smoked ham. You've got your ham, apple cider, brown sugar, mustard, cloves.
Yeah.
Like it.
Well, that's the thing. There's not a lot of stuff that it's like, oh, of course I don't have tarragon. I guess I'll run get it. Like, I think all of this stuff was stuff that they just had in their fridge.
Grilled lemon chicken. Lemon, butter, crushed thyme, and hot sauce.
Yeah.
Like, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I am. That's one thing that now that you say that, I'm starting to notice. Like, there's nothing crazy. Like, I feel like some of these cool recipes we see, it's like, well, crap, nobody has that in their pantry. But next time I'm at the store, I guess I'll grab some so I can try this.
Yeah.
This stuff is legitimate stuff that you would have.
Oh, I bought another rub while I was with Haley at Walmart.
Oh, what'd you get?
It was one of your Killer Hogs rubs. It's the garlic jalapeno Malcolm Reed rub.
I've never even heard of that. That must be new.
It was on clearance at Walmart for $7.
Man. Huh.
Anyways, I bought it and she was like, I'm going to kill you. She's like, you're already taking up a shelf and a half in my spice cupboard. Like, yeah, it's just chock full. And this is,
That's awesome.
here you go. New Orleans sauce, water, bourbon, soy sauce. Boom.
Keeping it simple.
So, anyways, tell us which ones do you have, Mike?
Dude, there's so many. I'm just going with, first of all, I want to point out to your point, there is a recipe in here called Basic Grilled Burgers. 1 pound of ground beef, half a teaspoon of salt, dash pepper. That's the ingredient list.
That's awesome.
That's sweet. But while I'm on the burgers, I saw this that I'd be interested to try. They've got a picture on here, and I'll be honest, it doesn't look overly appetizing. But this is called Burgers O'Brien. You ever had potatoes O'Brien?
Yeah, I was going to say, so chopped onions and peppers in it?
Yeah. So 12-ounce package, frozen loose hash browns, quarter cup chopped onion, quarter cup chopped green pepper, 2 tablespoons melted butter, 1 beaten egg, 2 tablespoons chopped pimiento, 1.5 teaspoons salt, quarter teaspoon pepper, 1.5 pounds ground beef, 8 hamburger buns, split, toasted, and buttered. And then just basically mix everything together.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know that I
know
could
how
get behind it, but it seems very 70s.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you put pimento in anything, I immediately go back to shag carpet and
Yes.
our burnt orange Burka loungers that we have
yeah,
here on the
dude.
other side of the studio.
Heck yeah. True that. Anyway, that was one that I saw. But there's so many things, and like you said, like I'd kind of like to try these and just have the song "It Was 1970 Something" playing in the background. Like, I don't know. It's all simple and it's all stuff that you would probably have at home. As far as you know, ingredients go. So corned beef barbecue dinner.
Ooh.
3-pound piece corned beef, 6 medium baking potatoes, butter margarine, sugar vinegar,
Yeah.
prepared mustard,
I love how many references to margarine there are in
right?
this.
And powdered milk. They put powdered milk in everything, man. That must have been a 70s and 80s thing.
I was going to say, I can remember stories about my grandpa, like, stretching the milk by taking, like, half a gallon of milk and filling it with water and putting powdered milk in it.
Oh.
I don't like milk to begin with, and the idea of powdered milk.
Well, I do like milk, but I don't think I've ever had, at least knowingly had, powdered milk.
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking through here to try and gut check your call. So far, the only thing that I know I don't have in my kitchen cupboard or food storage is for the cranberry barbecued chicken. Mm-hmm. I have no jellied cranberry sauce in this house.
Well, John, you need to rectify that because that needs to be fixed. One thing I see here is molasses. I don't have molasses, but I think that was a pretty common thing in people's household in the 70s.
I've got molasses.
Do you?
I've even made brown sugar with molasses.
Have you really?
Hey, man, Sunday I didn't want to go to the store. Got the white sugar out and started
Just mix molasses? Is that all it is? I
started
didn't know
mixing
that.
in molasses.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it was a whole thing.
Anyway, this could get interesting. Maybe we'll keep looking at this, come up with a couple recipes that we can try or something.
This
Please.
smoked fish and olive sandwiches.
Yes, I saw that, and it made me... Oh.
Flaked, 1 cup flaked smoked fish. I can just like imagine a can of like smoked salmon or something.
Uh-huh.
Minced pimento stuffed green olives. Ooh. I don't have those either.
I can't do olives, man. I'm
Neither can I,
just
man.
thinking about this.
Cheese, mayonnaise. I love this. Mayonnaise or salad dressing. Mm-hmm. Like it was pre-Miracle Whip.
Yep.
Teaspoon Worcestershire, garlic salt, black pepper, and onion rolls. Split. Whole pimento stuffed. Whole. Look, I will always be grateful for the sacrifices that our grandparents and their parents made, especially as living through World War I and World War II with rations, and man, I know they ate a lot of canned processed meat and fish, but there are some things that I just don't know I could do.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could get hungry enough and I would do it.
Yeah, I'd be grateful for it, but yeah, if you don't have to. Shoot, John, where was that thing that I was looking at I wanted to talk about? Do you remember when I was talking about luncheon meat?
Oh, yeah, the pineapple...
That's what it was.
Pineapple something glazed luncheon meat.
Yeah. Oh, no, I can't find it. Oh, nope, that's not
It
it.
was on the left page, top right side of the left page, as I remember.
Yeah.
Or at least that's where your finger was when you started telling me about it.
Apricot glazed ribs. That sounds interesting.
I was going to say there was a pineapple glazed ribs in here, but I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not accessing fruit enough in my barbecue.
But speaking of luncheon meat, for those not... Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Mike found it.
Yeah, 2/3 cup pineapple preserves, 1/3 cup packed brown sugar, 1/4 cup lemon juice, 1/4 cup prepared mustard, whole cloves, and then 3 12-ounce cans of Spam.
Yeah. For those that are not as sophisticated as Mike and I, luncheon meat is the generic term for Spam.
Yeah. Which apparently was a thing in the 70s.
I love Spam.
I'm a fan. I haven't had it for years, to be honest.
Really?
It was our first meal, I remember, when we first moved. We had nothing. And we didn't want to go to the store because we've been moving all day when I was a kid, like when we moved to Utah. I remember my mom breaking out the Spam. We'd never had it, and she just fried it up, and it was so good.
Yeah.
Because I was so hungry.
I was going to say, Scott was telling me about his 8-year-old grandson making him a Spam slider. Maybe he's 9, but like got it out, cut it, fried it in the pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you eat on a Spam sandwich?
Like bologna.
Yeah, just regular
Bread, little mayo. And some
lettuce
meat.
and tomato.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get fancy with it and go all gourmet, yeah, you can slice a tomato and, put the iceberg lettuce on it. But us normal folk,
Just a little mayo, huh?
little mayo, little mustard, white bread.
Nice. Sweet.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that fried... Did I tell you? I brought you fried bologna.
Yeah,
Or smoked bologna.
indeed.
I've still got a little bit of it.
I
so good.
minced it up. I don't know if mince is the right word.
Chopped, diced.
Diced, probably. Diced it up and put it in some like chicken pasta that we ate.
Ooh.
Big fan.
A little zippy zap there, man.
Yes, sir.
Get on board with that.
Yeah,
Well, we have certainly run the gambit today.
I think so. We've been all over. Show notes
So.
are going to be pretty tough to remember everything we talked about.
Maybe I'll send you the episode you can listen to.
There we
it.
go.
But until next time, we're going to be taking a trip to the 70s.
Heck yes.
Figure that out.
Yeah,
So,
we are.
Some updates on that next time. And I'm John.
I'm Mike.
And we're Fat Guys with Smokers. Thanks for listening to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't forget to tune in for even more nonsense from a couple of Fat Guys with Smokers.
Don't forget to like, subscribe.